Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're tackling something that can feel a bit overwhelming: child development and pedagogy. But don't worry, the whole goal here is to make these complex concepts super easy to understand and grasp. We're going to break things down so you can learn the topic easily, and honestly, pretty fastly too. If you've ever felt bogged down by learning theories, you're absolutely in the right place.
To get us there, we've got a quick roadmap. We're looking at mind and cognitive growth, knowledge and motivation, diversity and individual differences, demystifying learning disabilities, and finally, the true purpose of assessment. Let's jump right in. All right, Section 1, Mind and Cognitive Growth. Basically, how we learn and adapt. Okay, so picture this. This is Jean Piaget's brilliant concept of adaptation. Imagine a little kid who only knows about cats. They've got this existing schema, basically a mental box just for cats. Now, one day, they see a dog. They point at it and go, "Cat." That right there, that's step 2, assimilation. They're just forcing this new animal into their old mental box. But wait, the dog barks. The kid is instantly confused, right? That mental conflict, that wait a minute feeling, is step 3, this equilibrium. To fix that uncomfortable tension, the child actually has to build a brand new mental category for dogs. And that final, super crucial step is accommodation. Now, accommodation definitely takes more time, but it's what gives us that deep, long-lasting learning. Now, flip over to Lev Vygotsky. While Piaget was all about independent stages, Vygotsky was all in on social constructivism. This is the idea that knowledge isn't built alone. It's co-constructed actively in groups and society. It heavily relies on guided discovery. You know, when a teacher or maybe a smarter friend gives you that temporary boost or scaffolding. But here's the kicker. Even though they took different paths, both Piaget and Vygotsky completely agreed on one major thing. Kids are active participants in meaning-making. They aren't just empty vessels waiting to be filled. Moving on to Section 2, Knowledge and Motivation. Let's talk about the drive to learn. To really grasp this fast, we need to compare 2 major concepts. First, you've got declarative knowledge. This is the what. Your facts, your theories, your textbook definitions. It's like memorizing the exact steps to swim by reading a manual. Procedural knowledge, though, that's the how. It's totally process-oriented. It's actually jumping into the pool and swimming, or physically keeping your balance on a bike. So you could literally have a mountain of declarative knowledge, but that absolutely doesn't mean you've got the practical, procedural skills to pull it off in the real world. So what actually fuels all this learning? Well, the magic ingredient is intrinsic motivation. This is that drive that comes purely from your own personal interest or just genuinely enjoying the task itself. It has literally nothing to do with external rewards, getting an A+, or beating the kid next to you. True, deeply rooted learning is powered by this internal engine, not by some fear of getting in trouble or a craving for a gold star. In fact, I want you to stop and ask yourself right now, what is my learning goal and what do I need to do to get there? When teachers get students to ask this question, they're unlocking metacognition. And that's just a fancy way of saying thinking about your own thinking. When you actually pause to reflect on your mistakes, map out your next steps, and review your progress, you completely transform from a passive listener into a strategic, highly motivated learner. It's a total game changer. All right, Section 3, Diversity and Individual Differences. Because let's face it, every child is genuinely unique. When we look at classroom diversity, the very first rule is that individual differences in how fast or how someone learns are 100% normal. We aren't robots, right? But here is a critical piece of the puzzle. Intelligence is incremental, not fixed. It is absolutely not a static entity that you're just stuck with from birth. It can be nurtured, it can grow with effort and the right environment. If a teacher goes in believing that intelligence is just fixed, or if they let implicit, unspoken biases dictate who they think the smart kids are, they literally crush a student's potential before it even begins. This ties perfectly into a huge debate in human development: sex versus gender. Listen closely because this is important. Sex is biologically determined, but gender, that is entirely a social construct. It's built by society's rules and expectations. And this is exactly why educators have to consciously break gender stereotypes in their classrooms. Biology absolutely does not dictate that girls are naturally hardworking or that boys are inherently dominating. Those are just learned societal biases, and frankly, we need to unlearn them. And hey, while we're busting myths, let's talk about gifted children. People tend to think gifted kids just automatically know everything, or that they aren't curious because, well, they're already smart. But in reality, their defining trait is an off-the-charts level of curiosity and a wildly strong imagination. They are the ones asking a million questions. Plus, they can be gifted in multiple different areas at once. But here is the big takeaway. Yes, they are born with extraordinary potential, but that raw potential strictly requires a nurturing, supportive environment if it's ever going to actually bloom. To really support all this beautiful diversity, we need empathy. Simply put, it's the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and actually gauge what they're feeling. Empathy is this powerful reminder that human emotions and human cognition are deeply intertwined. You can't just separate them. Truly understanding and teaching diverse learners means you have to connect with their minds, for sure, but also with their hearts. Which brings us to Section 4, Demystifying Learning Disabilities. It's all about recognizing the challenges. Let's break these down so you can easily spot them. Dyslexia is primarily a reading difficulty. Dysgraphia, on the other hand, impacts fine motor skills. Specifically, it makes writing, spelling, and forming letters super difficult. Then there's dyspraxia, which is a broader challenge with overall motor skills. We're talking both gross and fine motor, like walking smoothly or holding a pen. And finally, dyscalculus involves severe struggles with numbers and basic math operations. Knowing the exact difference between, say, a reading block like dyslexia and a physical writing struggle like dysgraphia, that is absolutely essential if you want to teach effectively. Furthermore, when we talk about diverse challenges, we have to understand autism. Children on the autism spectrum usually find immense comfort and ease in familiar, predictable routines. They might struggle to hold eye contact, and they can get highly distressed by rapid transitions or just sudden changes to their environment. So keeping things steady and predictable is incredibly key to supporting their learning journey. All right, final stretch, Section 5, the true purpose of assessment, because it's about measuring growth, not just assigning ranks. Let's clear up a major point of confusion by comparing two types of testing. First, you've got norm-referenced tests. These are competitive. They literally compare a student's score against everyone else's to create a merit rank. Think of those cutthroat competitive job exams where only the top percentage get in. On the flip side, criterion-referenced tests just check if a student meets a specific, preset passing standard. No comparing you to the person sitting next to you. A basic teacher certification exam where you just need a certain number of marks to pass, that's criterion-referenced. So, what should an everyday classroom assessment actually look like? Well, honestly, they should be active learning experiences in themselves. They have to engage a student's cognitive processes and really push for that higher-order critical thinking. Asking them to evaluate different perspectives instead of just spinning back a memorized fact. And above all else, seriously, this is crucial, assessments should never be used as a weapon to create fear or stress in the classroom. And this leads us straight into the incredible power of error analysis. Look, when students go back and analyze their own mistakes, it is absolutely not a waste of time. It's a wildly powerful metacognitive tool. By diagnosing exactly where they tripped up, they're actively bridging gaps in their own understanding, which is exactly what helps them retain that knowledge for the long haul. Errors aren't failures, they're literally just stepping stones to mastery. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question. Does nature or nurture play a bigger role in your learning? And how exactly has your social environment shaped who you are today? It is the endless, totally fascinating debate of human development. Take a second to think about it and reflect on your own journey. Thank you so much for diving into these concepts with me today, and keep nurturing that curiosity.